We're back with Beacon Pines. I think this is episode 6 at this point. I've lost track because I've had to record the game twice now. I think this is episode 6. Even if it's not, it doesn't really matter. We're getting close to the end. I think this will be the last episode. I'm not totally sure. The last episode was so emotional. I know I literally had tears in my eyes at one point, and I got, super into it with the voices. I hope you all like that. I can't help it. I get into it. It affects me. I'm very affected by things like this, so I'm excited to see where this goes. I cannot wait to see how it ends, even though I don't want it to be over. I want to just see how it all concludes. So, without further ado, let's play more Beacon Pines.
Luca had no choice but to refuse Iggy's request. He tightened his grip and reached for the walkie-talkie in his pocket. A wild delight crept onto Mr. Kerr's face. That's a good lad. Now, radio for help. Iggy begged Luca with his eyes one last time, but Luca pressed the button and called out, We need help. Mr. Kerr is in danger. It wasn't long before they were once again surrounded by clipboards. Mr. Kerr sighed with relieved frustration. There you are. You really are a worthless lot, aren't you? Mirror, now. A clipboard dutifully produced an ornate ivory hand mirror, and Mr. Kerr began preening his tousled hair. Ah, that's better. Mr. Van Horn, I applaud your sharp thinking under duress. I'll put in a good word for you with the founder. Take them away. A swarm of hands overpowered Luca. The last thing he saw before a cloth bag was pulled over his head was the defeated look on Iggy's face. The end. I think this was one of those times where doing the right thing was the wrong thing.
Guess we'll just go right back into it.
Luca had no choice but to accept Iggy's request. With a quiet blink, Luca watched a teardrop sail down into the howling void. As his fingers slowly gave up, he met eyes with Iggy.
Good.
The two silhouettes were swallowed by darkness.
Hell of a goodbye, Iggy. Oh my god. My arms, I know you can't see that, but woo! Luca, you really should step back. What? Quickly. I don't remember the voice I gave him. Oh. Curious. Oh, my blanket's falling down back here. Ah, but of course. Those fireworks of Iggy's must have been just the right amount of energy. We should get out of here before perennial harvest arrives. Not until you tell me what just happened. Your friend's sacrifice just saved this town. For a little while, anyway. How? Tempest liquamine is a peculiar substance. It can change the relationship between matter and time itself. But doing so requires unfathomable energy. In a closed system, that energy can only come from its surroundings. A useful side product of this property being, by adding precisely the correct amount of energy to it, one can create a cryogenic cascade. That was a mouthful. So the gunk makes things cold and the fireworks made the whole freeze over? That's one way of putting it, yes. As dumb luck would have it, the fireworks weren't strong enough to generate a runaway reaction. I shudder to think what would have happened in that case.
We have some idea what that would look like.
It will take them a good while to safely break through and access the source again. If you know all of this stuff, why haven't you been helping? I have been, in my way. Each one of us has our role to play. Iggy's role, it turns out, was to buy us precious time. Mine has been to observe and wait. Wait for what? You. Me? Why? What's my
A
role?
fierce twinkle flashed in Nat's eyes.
Luca Van Horn, you are going to save the world.
With a chuckle, Nat turned and walked west. Dumbfounded, Luca followed behind him, trudging through the snow. Every step taking him further away from everyone and everything he knew, and closer to destiny. To be continued in Beacon Pines, Pines Harder. Revenge served cold. Second time's a charm? Wait, that's it? This ends with a crummy cliffhanger just when it was getting good? I was even starting to like Iggy. No way. I refuse to be associated with some never-ending parade of sequels. Let's go back and find something more definitive.
That's funny. Okay, so I guess we'll go hard with Mr. Tolliver.
They'd run the classic good cop, hard cop interrogation. Rollo brandished a steely gaze. I've got this. Read about it 100 times. Rollo swaggered past the chair which propped up the slumping Hiram Tolliver. Without even looking at his captive, he began with a long, blustery drawl.
Well, 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 Mr. Tolliver.
Mr. Tolliver remained motionless. Rollo spun around to face him. He'd clearly expected to rouse Mr. Tolliver with his booming voice.
Mr. Tolliver?
Beck and Luca gave each other an unsure glance. Rollo slammed his fist on the table.
I said, Mr. Tolliver!
He grabbed the table lamp and beamed it onto the unconscious face. Mr. Tolliver groaned and slowly lifted his head. He recoiled with a muddled, weary squint.
What in the
The
world?
chair wobbled as he attempted to straighten up.
Who's there?
Mr. Tolliver could only make out rough shapes through the glaring light. With a gruff tone, Rollo hoped to both conceal his voice and intimidate.
I'll be asking the questions here, punk. Now, hold on, let's just calm down. Oh, I am calm. Calm as a carrot in dirt. As for you, looks like you're sweating.
The doubtful expression on Beck and Luca's faces transformed into awe.
We can do this my way, or let's just say I've never needed another way.
Rollo, hitting his stride, was now channeling every detective trope his memory could recall. He slammed the table again.
Now dance! What? I don't even...
Tolliver's voice became desperate. He was nearly in tears.
You've tied me down. How on earth could I dance? Dance with your mouth, punk. Spill the beans. What are you doing poking around this house? I'm here to help Juniper. To make sure everything's ready. Oh, so you're in cahoots with Gran? Gran?
Mr. Tolliver was in a daze, now more confused than ever.
Gonna help her blow up the festival, eh? Blow up the festival? Good
He
Lord.
shook his head, feeling more and more dizzy.
No, you've got it all wrong. Where is she now? She's headed to the source. Source? What's the source? It's where
His voice faded to a whisper.
the town began. Where it all began. What is Operation Sparkplug?
With that, Mr. Tolliver passed out cold. Rollo swung around with a repentant grimace.
Damn, Rollo. I think you went a little too hard on him. What did he say about the source? It's where the town began? We need more information. Yeah, but we'd better not push Mr. Tolliver any further. Is there anyone else who might know more? What about the History Museum? It just got set up for the festival. Nah, that tent was put up by the Valentines. Everything they do is just a bunch of fluff to glorify themselves. Is there anything more reliable? The library. If there's any information about this source thing, Kato can help us find it. Let's go get some answers. This is a dang nice library. Thanks, we work hard on it. Aren't you a little too adorable to be a librarian? Adorable. So cute. Oh, Kato hung out here so much, eventually they gave him a set of keys. I just keep an eye on the place for Mrs. Novak sometimes. They got you working for free? It's quiet and I get access to all the books I can read. What more could a person want? Fair enough. What can I do for you all? We need a favor. I already told you in Rolo, I can't put you any higher on the wait list for the next Hank Atomic. And if you're here with more candy, I'll have you know I can't be bought. Call it a personal code of conscience. Actually, we're looking to do some research. Now you're speaking my language. What are you looking for? That's the thing, we sorta don't know. What do you got on the history of the town? There's the county record archives. What's in those? Births, deaths, newspaper clippings, stuff like that. Pretty boring reading. But they do go all the way back to when the town was founded. Great, we'll start there.
Chapter 8. 6 feet under, 3 towns over. The kids spent the rest of the afternoon combing through dusty piles of old county records, desperately searching for anything that could help them make sense of Mr. Tulliver's cryptic utterance. Luca tried to shake the thought of Gran's basement, but his focus wavered. Explosives, messages hidden in jam, dossiers on various town figures, and a corkboard threaded with photos. Gran was the only family he had left. He still couldn't bring himself to believe the worst. But the old map with the symbol of explosives in town square made that difficult. As the sun began to set, the kids were no closer to the truth.
If I have to read any more records, my eyeballs are gonna pop. We have to keep digging. If I dig another word, I'm gonna end up in one of these asinine death records. Rollo Cotter lived a full and wonderful life, till he read so much boring crud that his brain oozed out of his ears.
Rollo shut his book with an assertive nod.
If you've got a better idea, spit it out. You sound like my sister. Keep pushing your luck, pal. And it won't be a boring county records that kill you. I'll put you in the obituaries myself.
Rollo muttered under his breath.
You're a county record. Oh, I said that weird. You're a county record. Really? That's the best you've got? When I'm done with you, you'll be the footnote in history. Just like...
Slammed her finger down on the open page before glancing down to read.
J. Hartford here. I'd love to see you try. Hey! We're all a little tired here. Let's just take a minute and...
Something tickled the back of Luca's mind.
Wait, what was that name back? Is that the name from the badge in the trash? And would that apply? Because Rollo would be missing. In the obit? J. Hartford? From the Brookville Tribune 8 years ago. That can't be right. What is it? J. Hartford. That's my grand's name. Oh, duh. Juniper Hartford. Maybe there were 2 J. Hartfords? Mrs. Hartford is survived by her young daughter, E. Hartford. My mom's name is Eleanor. Okay, this is getting creepy. If your gran is 6 feet under, 3 towns over, then who am I living with?
The question hung in the air.
Yeah. Alright, gang, I gotta close up for the night.
Beck rubbed her eyes.
How late is it? Almost 10. Oh crap, Pa is gonna kill me. I gotta go. Yeah, my parents will be worried sick. Okay, let's meet up as early as we can at the festival tomorrow. What are you gonna do about the unconscious man in your basement? I'll think of something.
Luca's heart was pounding as he approached the house. If he was lucky, Gran, or whoever it was, hadn't gotten back yet. And of course, there was Mr. Tolliver tied up and unconscious in the basement. Dealing with him would be the first order of business. Luca shook out his arms to calm his nerves before entering. He held perfectly still, tempering his breath, and listened closely. She was asleep. His only hope was that she hadn't found Mr. Tolliver before dozing off.
We shall see. I mean, did she walk in the door and just go straight to the chair and fall asleep? 'Cause... Oh. Oh, no.
Mr. Tolliver was nowhere to be seen.
Maybe he woke up, escaped from his bindings, and left without a trace.
Or maybe Gran knew everything.
What do I do?
Luca's hungry stomach groaned. Not realizing it, he'd gone the entire day without eating.
Okay, I can figure this out. Just need a little brain food.
Luca rushed over to the pile of jam jars, unscrewed one, and shoveled a handful into his mouth.
I'm afraid your jam delivery will be
He
delayed.
flipped the lid to read the label.
Mr. Nuncreed. Okay, now I can think. So if Gran knows we tied up Mr. Tolliver, I'm screwed. If she doesn't know, then I need to play it cool. I guess the only option is to go to bed and act as if nothing is wrong. Gran will think Mr. Tolliver finished what he was sent to do and left when he was done. Go to sleep. Can do. See if there's anything. See if there's anything I missed. Don't think so. Oh, Gran's gone. Uh-oh. Gran? Okay, stick to the plan. Go to bed and play it cool.
As Luca climbed the final stair, the emotion of the day dragged heavily on him. With each consecutive step, his legs weakened. His stride began to falter.
Something was in that jam.
He tried to grab for the railing to steady himself. Something was wrong.
Come on, legs. Just a few more steps.
Luca groaned and tried to move. His limbs might as well have been bolted to the ground. Through numb lips, he mumbled just before falling asleep.
The germ? Well, yeah, we did that. Sweet boy. What did you get yourself into? Rest now and let me handle everything. Yeah, it's really leaving it up in the air whether she's like good or bad.
Chapter 9. A speech to end all speeches. Luca awoke to find himself face down in bed. He moaned into his pillow. Why would Gran drug him? Or rather, why was she trying to drug Mr. Nuncreed?
Yeah, that's who that was for.
Shaking the questions from his woozy head, Luca snapped back to the matter at hand.
The festival! So quiet. Where's my friends? Where have you been? Gran put something in the jam. Yeah, we know. Secret messages for secret conspirators. Not this one. The one intended for Mr. Nuncreed. Put me to sleep. Whoa, ho, ho. Sly devil. Sly. I think she's trying to remove him from the equation. He might be in danger. Have you found anything? We looked around, but haven't seen anything odd. Your Gran is nowhere to be found. But Mr. Nuncreed is just loafing around waiting for the speech. What speech? Mayor Gus just got up to the podium. Everyone is gathering at the stage. Let's get moving. Oh gosh.
Augustus Valentine nervously wiped his brow.
Ahem. Is this thing... hello, Beacon Pines. I'm Augustus Valentine, your mayor, and I suppose you already know that. Oh yes, before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize someone who couldn't be here today. This town wouldn't be where it is today without my father, Sharper Valentine. So I thought we could begin with a round of applause befitting such a great man. Even that's more than the old codger deserved.
Gus cleared his throat and awkwardly loosened his tie.
Oh, right. Where was I?
William Kerr bounded on the stage with the energy of a preacher at a big tent revival.
Gus Valentine,
He
everyone!
gave Gus a hearty slap on the back and motioned him off the stage.
Let's hear it for our mayor! What a great turnout! Ah, heck, I didn't prepare anything. But I suppose I could say a few words. Would be a shame to waste such a beautiful podium.
Mr. Kerr pulled a thick stack of note cards out from his vest.
Community, conviction, commitment. These are the things we celebrate at Perennial Harvest. For us, these are the pillars of the bridge to a better tomorrow. But I think it's time to add a new pillar. Change. Change is a powerful thing. It's inexorable, unavoidable, and undeniable. And I am dadgum thankful for it. Change is the reason we're all together today. It's hard for me to believe that it was only 4 years ago when fate brought me here. A simple business trip which brought me to a small town which would change my life forever.
Mr. Kerr took a moment to survey the crowd.
You know what?
Wiped away a single tear.
From the second I set foot in Beacon Pines, something about this place has held me captive. You see, change represents opportunity. It represents potential. It was change that helped me recognize the potential of this place. To see that the people of this town, despite suffering great loss, still held on to the things that made them special.
Thumped the podium to emphasize each word.
Community, conviction, commitment, change.
Mr. Kerr nodded confidently, biting his lip. The crowd was silent, in rapt attention.
Fate made a perfect match that day. Nothing is more important to you all than community. And Perennial Harvest is a community first and foremost.
Mr. Kerr methodically made eye contact with each section of the crowd.
The only way you made it through the foul harvest was an unshakable conviction. A conviction that a better tomorrow was just over the horizon. Perennial Harvest was founded on the conviction that we are that horizon. This festival is a symbol of our commitment to each other.
His voice began to build to a crescendo.
We now walk hand in hand into a future we will shape together. And that is what change is all about. Grabbing the future by the scruff of the neck and making things happen. Change is a choice. I am tickled pink that we will all be making that choice together. How great is that? Just imagine what we can accomplish. What was that?
The crowd began to look around nervously.
Don't worry, a little thunder isn't going to ruin this day. Everyone remain calm.
Mr. Kerr quickly flicked through his note cards.
Where was I? Through all of my travels, I have learned one true thing. One always reaps what they sow. We have all planted a lot of good in this town. And so it is with a happy heart that I can proclaim,
He raised his hands up to the heavens.
our harvest awaits!
At that moment, a merciless wall of impossibly cold air ripped through the crowd, instantly freezing everyone and everything it touched. For a man like William Kerr, this was a fitting way for things to end. On a stage, with an entire town frozen in rapt attention for the rest of time. The end. There's that ice again! Whenever I think we're getting close, it comes along and ruins everything! Maybe we should just quit? Maybe you should just close the book, walk away, and never think of me again. No, I don't mean that. We got a little closer this time. We just need to try again, please.
Sly it is, Sly Cop.
They'd run the classic good cop, sly cop interrogation. Luca and Rollo ducked behind a barrel, leaving Beck to her task. With a few crisp snaps, she roused Mr. Tolliver.
What? What's going on here? You're that mood wheel girl. Please, call me Beck. Sorry about all this.
Mr. Tolliver looked down and shifted a bit, testing his restraints.
It seems there's been a mix-up. You see, I'm down here for the same reason you are. Juniper sent you here?
Beck caught herself before letting the surprise manifest on her face. She'd already gotten him to reveal his relation to Gran. This was gonna be easy.
You know how Juniper is with her precautions. Operation Sparkplug has us all on edge. I guess she thought you needed some backup. But she sent a child? What better way to avoid prying eyes? Who would suspect a kid? I suppose that makes sense.
Mr. Tolliver wriggled a bit in his restraints.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Beck quickly removed the ropes.
That had to be uncomfortable. A little, yeah. But you understand. We never know who to trust in this town.
Mr. Tolliver rubbed the growing knot on his forehead.
Very true. So it turns out we're both here
Beck twirled
to
her hand, as if to prompt Mr. Tolliver to finish her thought.
destroy the
Beck
evidence.
shook her head and clicked her tongue.
Yep, the old gal is nothing if not thorough.
Mr. Tolliver let out an amused huff in agreement.
She sure is. Can't blame her, though. If anyone were to find out that we're going to destroy the source, well, we both know how bad that might be. No one will know anything once I finish cleaning things up down
Beck
here.
was on a roll now, playing Mr. Tolliver like a fiddle.
You sure you can finish this up on your own? Juniper trusted me for a reason. You can leave the rest to me. Good, there is one more loose end I'll go work on. Loose end? Oh, it's nothing really. The other day I had the radio on scan while restocking the candy shelf, and wouldn't you know it, I intercepted an odd phrase in a perennial harvest transmission. Underground secrets. That's ominous. I think it might be a password, but Juniper dismissed it. Said it wasn't mission critical. What's the password for? We don't know. So we have a password and nowhere to put it. It's gotta mean something, right? Good thinking. You should probably go work that out. I've got this under control. That's a relief. Between you and me, this basement gives me the willies.
Heading for the stairs, Mr. Tolliver hesitated and turned to Beck with a puzzled look. She grinned and gave him a peppy wave. With a shrug, he continued up the stairs, whistling a jaunty tune.
Oh, Mr. Tolliver. You guys catch that? Sure did. The whole time Mr. Tolliver's had a candy shelf. I'm still using his voice. But all he ever does... Oh my god. But all he ever sells us is apples.
Beck blinked slowly in disappointment.
The password, Rollo. Well, sure, but once things are back to normal, I'll be having a word with Mr. Tolliver about that candy shelf. Fine. In the meantime, I've got an idea.
She turned to the table and began tearing small scraps of paper.
He said he heard a password on the radio. Any good spy transmission is never what it seems.
Beck marked each scrap of paper and leaned back.
We just need to find the hidden meaning. Okay. What's another word for underground? Buried? Covered? Could it be a cover-up? Maybe it's one of those each letter is a number thingies. So U would be 21. N would be 14. D would be... Ooh, it's an anagram. Nuncreed's Drugstore.
Luca and Beck looked at Rollo with amazement.
Rollo, that was incredible. Well, it's either that or Kren's new drugstore. Yeah, I think you were right the first time. How did you do that? What can I say? I love ciphers. Well, I guess we know where to go next. Investigate Nuncreed's Drugstore. Coming right up. Oh. Hey, Mama. You scared me half to death. Sorry. You kids haven't seen Mr. Tolliver around, have you? Nope. He's got me waiting around like the last slice of pie. I swear that man would be late to his own funeral. Yep, we have no idea where he is or why he's been hung up. We have no idea. And I can't walk straight. Not a clue, Mrs. T. Or Mrs. F. They're not related or together. Because she's Fratelli and he's Tolliver. I was thinking they had the same name, but they don't. Anyway, just ignore whatever point in the game that I said that they were married or whatever. You're late, Augustus. Sorry, sister. Was caught up with work. Work? You? I had a few more details to lock down for the festival. Oh, what do you have to report? What is this Insipid Town festival really about? I think
Looked around nervously.
Mr. Kerr really does just want to do something good for the town. He's actually a pretty nice guy. You should spend some time with him. I didn't pull strings installing you as mayor so that you could make friends. Your job is to help me figure out what Kerr and Perennial Harvest's true intentions are with this town. We have a responsibility. This is our father's town. Was. Excuse me. This was our father's town. He's gone, Eris, and he isn't coming back. Father left us with nothing but problems. Mr. Kerr came here and offered to help us. We accepted that help. We didn't agree to them turning Father's warehouse into a toxic dumping ground. That is just a temporary arrangement. The glow can be seen from our damned backyard. They are dumping their nasty little secrets on us. When all this inevitably goes wrong, who do you think will be blamed?
A cry hung in the air.
We have a new choice to make now, sister. This town is going to change whether we like it or not. Are we going to choose to be a part of that future, or be forgotten in the past? It's a shame. Father named you Augustus, but you will always just be a Gus. Good night, Eris. I'll see you at breakfast tomorrow. It's getting late, children. Are you licking me, Ginger? I have a cat over here, and he's licking my arm. Let's see what Gator Bell has to say. Knowledge, he spat with a sneer. There exists a gulf between knowing something and being able to do a damn thing about it. Humph. I do hate it when the villain makes a good point. Are we finally gonna actually get to go in the drugstore? What you want, Toby, or whatever your name was?
Solomon stood proudly
Solomon.
at the entrance
Toby
to the drugstore,
Solomon.
holding a brown bag overflowing with black licorice.
Hey, Solomon. We're looking for Mr. Nuncreed. Is he still in there? I'm afraid not. Then where'd you get the candy from? You might say we have an arrangement.
Solomon shoveled a surprising amount of licorice into his mouth.
Sometimes it's the small pleasures in life. Though we might not always have family to rely on. Licorice has never let me down. Well, I can't say licorice would be my first choice, but whatever floats your boat. You can tell a lot about a person by their choice of confection. Oh, yeah, I guess. I like sour gobs. I'm certain you do. I always wondered why Mr. Nuncreed kept licorice in stock. You must eat enough of it to make it worthwhile. There are many ways to earn loyalty. For some, it's as easy as cold, hard cash. Black licorice. Well, he's right. It's locked. There's gotta be more clues. Okay, let's see. Have you ever seen anyone actually use this thing? Besides Mr. Nuncreed, no.
Beck cupped her hands on the glass to peek inside.
That is not a normal phone booth. It's got like a blinky keypad. Why would there be a blinky keypad? Kren's Nude Drugstore. I mean, Underground Secrets. The password.
Beck flung open the door and they all squeezed in.
All right, let's see here.
Luca cracked his knuckles and entered the letters into the keypad.
Underground Secrets. Sounds like that did something. Great. Now what? I guess we...
The inside of the phone booth dropped loose from its shell. Without even the space to panic, they closed their eyes, held their breath, and accepted their fate. Suddenly, the chaotic descent slowed to an effortless landing. It was unclear where they ended up, but at least it was solid ground. The air was stagnant and smelled vaguely of chlorine.
I knew it. You knew that there was a secret hub full of strange tubes under the phone booth? Of course I did. Didn't I say that? No. I definitely thought it. Luca, do you remember when I said how cool it would be if the trans-dimensional conduits from Hank Atomic issue number 12 were real? Rolo, at one point or another, you said that about every technology ever discussed in Hank Atomic. That's why I'm such a good predictor. It looks like each of these has something written on them. Mining Operations Alpha. You guys have mines here? Not that I know of. This town is all farms and fertilizer. And a series of tubes. Pa always says you can only trust a miner up to the point when they hit gold. Not sure how that wisdom applies in this exact situation. That's the thing about Pa, you don't always realize what he means until it's too late. Perennial Harvest main office. That's where my mom works. What does she do? Science stuff. Is she involved in all of this? We just moved here. How could she be involved? True. Valentine Fertilizer Warehouse. Isn't that where you almost got snatched? Yeah. Why would Perennial Harvest have a tube going to the old Valentine place? This is starting to feel like something big. This suit has a broken mask. So, have we found our mystery warehouse creeper? We've at least found their hazmat suit. If it walks like a Nuncreed and talks like a Nuncreed, let's not jump to conclusions. Just saying. That's a lot of buttons. Stand aside, Earthlings. I've read enough Hank Atomic to know my way around sci-fi tech.
His hands hovered over the field of blinking buttons.
Eeny, meeny, miny. Uh-oh. Rolo, what did you do? Nothing. I didn't even mow yet. What was that? Hide! Where? There's nothing but weird tubes down here. Just get back. Shit. 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 Awesome! Oh no. You all need to come with me, now. We are not going anywhere with you. Not until we get some answers. Mr. Underground Secrets. I told them it was an absurd password. Sorry. I told them it was an absurd password. But they love anything that makes them feel clever. They who? That's no matter. If I can keep you hidden until after the festival, I might be able to save your skins. We don't care about our skins. Hold on now, I like my skin. This all stops now, Nuncreed.
Joseph waited for a moment in silence.
You sound just like him. Who? Walt. You don't get to talk about my dad. You know, your father and I were friends back before...
He gestured toward the strange tubes.
all of this. That's a lie. It's true, I used to bounce you on my knee. What happened? Same thing that always happens. Reality, complications, life. We were a team, Walt and I. An idealistic doctor and a bright-eyed pharmacist. Both hell-bent on helping folks. So you were his sidekick? No. We were partners. He helped the patients and I helped him. Yep, total sidekick.
Nuncreed let out a growl of a sigh.
Luca, I need you to know this. I need someone to know this. One day, Sharper Valentine comes to us. Says he's got an opportunity. He'd found something he didn't quite understand. And he was willing to pay us both handsomely to help him understand it. And my dad said no. Your father and I both believed in helping people. But the thing I could never get him to understand was it's a lot easier to help others if you help yourself now and then. Classic sidekick into villain plotline. Walt loved being righteous almost more than he loved his family. He was wrong about one thing, though. When he begged me not to take Valentine's offer, he said, "Joseph, if a person says yes one time to Sharper Valentine, he'll make sure they keep on saying yes to him until the day he's dead and gone."
He shook his head wistfully.
Sharper's long gone, but he's still got me saying yes. Is there a point to this sob story? Not really, no. Just an old man trying to delay what needs doing.
Nuncreed took a menacing step towards the children.
I tried to keep you safe. I tried to keep you and Juniper out of this. But you forced my hand.
Luca began to laugh.
What? You don't really know? Or you really don't know? My Gran isn't out of this. She's been scheming right under your nose. Juniper? Seems like she's planning on crashing the town's party. She's going to disrupt the festival. Why would she...
Color drained from Nuncreed's face.
How does she know? Apparently she knows a lot of things. What? Let's just say this isn't the only underground layer we've busted into today. And honestly, hers is way cooler. She's got maps and explosive and bad intentions, big man.
Nuncreed grabbed Luca by the shoulders. His eyes were frantic.
You need to tell me what she's going to do right now. She doesn't understand what it is she's messing with. Tell me now she's in danger, boy. I don't know. She had a map with a mark on the fountain in town square. The fountain, but why would...
A jolt of realization struck Mr. Nuncreed.
She knows about the source? What the heck is the source? If she tries to destroy the source, it could catalyze and... Dear God, she's going to freeze us all. You all need to run. Run where? Away. As far away from this town as you can get. Head west and don't look back. That did not go how I expected. So... we're totally following him, right? Totally. See you on the other side. You good? Yep. She's gonna follow her mom. I love this town. Oh, no.
Chapter 8. The Cold, Hard Truth. Beck leapt up, allowing the suction to yank her into the dark. Dimness eclipsed around her like the shutter of a camera, as she seemed to cover great distance in mere moments. Her only points of reference were glints of upcoming turns, which approached with frightening speed, only to carom her gracefully along. She heard the tinny, distant echoes of Rollo's glee. Once she stopped fighting against it, the ride was impossibly smooth. Then, all of a sudden, as if minutes had passed in an instant, light blazed into view. A burst of wintry air snuffed across her face, and she was flung out into the cold.
That was intense? Yeah. I think I might have parted with some fluids in there. Any idea where we are? Somewhere cold. Doesn't look like it got on any of us. Didn't feel like we traveled that far. So where did it all go? This place sucks. Why would anyone even want to blow something up out here? Only one way to find out, I suppose. We've got to catch up to Nuncreed. I think he went this way. Catch up to Mr. Nuncreed. This looks familiar, yeah. Maybe we can clear off the snow. No time, Nuncreed's getting away. Okay, this is starting to feel really familiar. It may not be the most well-versed on all things Beacon Pines, but this does look like some sort of frozen replica of town. Ah, I got it. It's so obvious now. Mr. Nuncreed is an alien. Rollo, stick with me here. His species can only live in sub-zero temperatures. Oh boy, here we go. The source is their base camp dimension, so naturally they keep it cold. We found it by traveling through those metallic wormholes back there. The final objective, kill us all and shapeshift into a Beacon Pine citizen of their choosing. You never really had me, but you very much lost me there. You get used to it. We should keep moving. Oh, Rollo.
As they rounded the corner to the frozen town square, they spotted Mr. Nuncreed inching cautiously toward a pit at its center. He held his arms out gingerly, as if approaching a beast in the wild. Upon closing the distance, Luca recognized what Nuncreed was after. Gran stood confidently at the edge, one arm outstretched over the abyss. Nearby, a wheelbarrow had been emptied out. She held a lit torch, which flickered in the bitter wind.
Juniper, I don't know what you think you're doing, but I assure you this is not going to solve anything. If you drop that, you've doomed this whole town. Oh, it wasn't me who doomed this town. I've been watching you, Joseph. I know what you've done. You and your co-conspirators. Gran? What's happening? Luca, you and your friends need to leave right this moment.
Mr. Nuncreed turned back toward the kids, desperation in his eyes.
Listen to your grandma, Luca. This is between me and Juniper.
Back held steadfast in awe. Luca approached closer. Mr. Nuncreed spun back toward Gran, his voice growing louder.
You've got it all wrong, Juniper. Just hand over that torch. You don't understand what you're doing. How could I possibly trust you to do the right thing? Walt told me everything. He trusted you and you betrayed that trust. Luca, did you know that this man's entire life is a lie? If it weren't for him, your father might still be alive.
Mr. Nuncreed winced with anguish. His voice hardened.
That's not true.
They both now yelled, not to each other, but at fate itself, making their peace with long-held burdens. The wind howled with encouragement.
Walt was like a brother to me. We just had different ideas about how to effect change. Very convenient that your way just happened to line your pockets. Now that's not fair.
Menaced at each other, both catching their breath. The moment balanced on a knife's edge. Amid a blur of emotions and memories, Luca's mind flooded with questions. The wind calmed, as if to give him the stage. And in the stillness, he began to weep. It was all just too much. Falling to his knees, Luca whimpered softly. The tears crystallized as they hit the snow. Gran stared at Luca for a moment with warm sympathy, remembering why this was all necessary.
This'll all make sense soon, Luca. Then everything can go back to normal. I promise.
She stiffened up and brandished the torch at Mr. Nuncreed.
You can't hide behind those people any longer, Joseph. Once their precious source is destroyed, we'll see where their loyalties fall. Juniper, don't!
Ignoring his final plea, Gran flung the torch into the deep darkness. She smiled and exhaled in relief. Mr. Nuncreed moaned in resignation. The torch echoed as it ricocheted down the hole, punctuated with a thunderous thud.
You see, Joseph, I've learned one very important lesson in life. If you want things to change, then you must be willing to.
Before Gran could finish, the ground shook her to silence. Gran only had time to spin around and run to Luca. Her attempt to shield him, an honorable but trifling act. Unflinching love, pitted against an unthinking horror, there was no contest. Her warm embrace froze in an instant. That is where they remain, fixed in place, forever. And so, our story ends on this melancholy scene. In a town brought low by its secrets, sits the frozen statues of a misguided band of meddlers. The end. Well, that was dire. On the bright side, we finally figured out where all the ice is coming from. Now, we just need to find a way to deal with a mystic, unfathomable force of nature.
This time we shall hum.
And in the stillness, he began to hum. After the death of his father, Luca had trouble sleeping. Each night, his mother would sit at the foot of his bed and hum a gentle melody. It was the only thing that could calm his mind, the only thing that, however briefly, could make it all seem okay. That melody pervaded every memory Luca had of his mother. Shivering in the raw snow, he began to hum it out loud. Gran lowered the torch, listening closely. As recognition slowly set in, her heart sank. Those countless nights of consolation, the incomparable loss they shared together. She let the torch fall to the snow and sizzle out. A few steps toward Luca was all she could bear before dropping to the snow herself. Through a flood of tears, she began to hum along, note for note.
This game, y'all.
Luca lifted his head in astonishment. The last time he heard that melody was the last night he saw his mother.
How do you know? I'm so sorry, my little buckaroo. Buckaroo? The only people who call me that are my dad and your mother.
Luca blinked through blurry, watery eyes, trying to see more clearly.
Has that been his mom the whole time?
He could just make out the impression of a familiar face. He peered across the snowscape at the woman on her knees. Something about her was undeniably his mother, only smaller, older, changed.
Oh, she's from like a different Mom? That's right, Buckaroo. Mom!
Luca sprinted as fast as he could toward his mother. They held each other close, and the cold retreated from their bodies.
Eleanor? I thought you were gone. You should have known I would never abandon my son.
Eleanor looked down at Luca, tightening her embrace in an appeal for forgiveness.
How? You're a smart man, Joseph. I thought you'd have pieced it together by now. You were exposed. Mom, I don't understand any of this. What happened to you? Where did you go? Why did you leave me? I never left you. I was always right here, Luca. Why did you lie to me? It tore me up, Luca, but I did it to keep you safe. I thought that getting answers would help us both move on. But the more I discovered, the more I realized the danger we were in. Until perennial harvest was stopped, it was better if everyone thought I was gone. You could have trusted me. These are bad people, Luca. They won't stop until they get what they want. And they don't care who gets hurt in the process. Then what do we do? We have to stop them.
Joseph slumped into the cold, wet snow.
They can't be stopped. This is too big. I tried beating them at their own game. I'm done fighting fire with fire.
For the first time in a long time, her voice felt like her own again.
No more lies. I see now there's a better way to stop perennial harvest. The cold, hard truth.
Luca gazed down at Nuncreed with pity. He looked small. Joseph stared into the snow, as if searching it for answers.
Come on, everyone. We've got a party to crash. You don't understand. He always wins.
Chapter 9. The Devil You Know. 7 months ago.
I feel like... I don't know. I would hate it if I stopped this episode too soon and there's like 10 minutes left of the game. If that's the case, I will just figure it out and tack it on the end of this. But I have about an hour of recording, so I think for now we're going to call this an episode. So we'll have hopefully just one more after this. Truly wept there for a moment. That was a lot. That was so much. But I'm loving this game, and I hope you all are just as excited as I am to see how it ends. And I will see you soon.